Today I'm going to be showing you how to install our bolt-on light bars. This guide will be the same guide for all of our generation light bars, whether it be a Touareg or a Cayenne, and they also applies to the rear bumper bars as well. To properly install this light bar, you will need a torque wrench, a 1/2-inch ratchet, 3/8 ratchet, or 1/2-inch ratchet with an adapter that goes down to 3/8, a 16mm deep socket or shallow with an extension, and a 1-inch or 26mm socket, whether it be deep or shallow with an extension. All right, now we're going to open up the package. This vehicle in particular is getting a bull bar that is parking sensor compatible, and we're going to open it up and show you what comes in it. You will get a package that has all the hardware in it. It will have the adapter bracket bolts and some parking sensor simulators. We also have some details here on what these are in case you don't know what these are. And last, you will have the light bar itself. What you have is a parking sensor simulators in the event that you need them. They're not required for all vehicles, but in some cases, if you're putting extra large lights on it, something that might hang off the front, whether it be a winch cable or anything like that, we supply these. You don't always need them, but if you do have parking sensors that are going off on your dash, or you're getting the noise on the inside, then you can put these over the sensors, and I'll show you how to do those in a minute. Secondly, you will get your proprietary left-hand adapters with the nuts or the bolts with the flange head on them, and then your light bar. This light bar in particular has mounting tabs for the lights on the bottom bar. We option them with the top bar mounting brackets, and then this one has a parking sensor compatible. You can see that it has this little angle right here that has a cutout to clear the sensors underneath. And then the last part of your light bar comes with our covers, our light bar covers. We make these out of injection molded polyurethane, and these actually cap off the bar once the hardware is installed. All right, so this is a 958.2. This installation guide will apply to all Cayenne models. Obviously the bumper will look a little bit different in every model, but the installation guide itself is relatively the same. To remove the covers on the front for the tow hooks, you just push from the bottom and then the top will pop out. And then from there you will no longer need these, so you can just fish them out of the hole. And then again, for the driver's side, you will have to squeeze the tabs that keep this thing in place. It'll take a minute to figure out where the tabs are, but once you get it, it's pretty straightforward. There you go, you can see. So these two need to be squeezed and then fish through this hole right here. You will no longer need these after you install it. So we're going to be installing our proprietary left-hand threaded adapter bolts. You will need to separate the included mounting bolt from the adapter, and using your 1-inch or 26mm socket and ratchet, you will install these in a left-handed configuration. So left will be tight, right will be loose. It's easier to thread it by hand first and then run it the rest of the way in with the ratchet. And repeat for the opposite side. And then from there, we will get our torque wrench out. So now that your adapters have been installed, we will torque them. Remember, they're left-handed thread, and the adapter bolts are torqued to 60 foot-pounds. If you do not own a torque wrench, these bolts can be tightened to roughly what you would tighten your wheel bolts with. They're not going to break. They're actually machined and hardened steel, so they're really strong. They're actually rated up to like 10,000 pounds, I think. We've tested them before, so they're not going to snap. So if you want to tighten these really tight, it's not going to hurt anything. All right, so next part would be a little bit easier if you had a second hand, but if you don't, it is possible to install by yourself. We will now use the included bolts with your 16mm socket and install it onto the adapters. What I do is go ahead and thread the bolt through the slot and put it on the bung or the adapter and get one side started. And once you get one side started, you can grab your other bolt and do the same thing for that side. Just like that is on. Okay, now that it's been snug tight, you can go back and tighten it as tight as you can with the 3/8 ratchet. This time you will tighten these bolts to 35 foot-pounds. Again, if you don't have a torque wrench, these can be tightened fairly tight. Not as tight as like you would tighten your wheel bolts, but about 35 foot-pounds, give or take, and those will be tight enough. They're not going to go anywhere after you tighten them down. After you have everything tightened down and torqued, you will just slip these covers on, just like so. And lastly, if you have any parking sensor warning lights, what you'll need to do is install these little covers, and what we do is place them directly over the center of your parking sensors, like so. And that concludes the installation guide for our bolt-on light bars. This will apply exactly the same on the back of the car. On our Cayenne setups, you remove the covers just like you would. You would install the proprietary adapters like you would on this, and you would torque them to the same torque specs.